After Rocky Balboa ended the series on an underrated and awesome note, it rose from the ashes 9 years later, but this time in the form of the sequel series, Creed. I remember back in 2015, everyone was so excited for this movie, even though there were people who weren't sure that it was going to be good because, it's resurrecting a 9-year-old series that, let's be honest, did not end on the most glorious of notes, whether it's Rocky V we're talking about or just how underrated Rocky Balboa really was. But there were a lot of people, myself included, who knew this movie could not fail. It was Rocky, for God's sake, and even then, it wasn't really Rocky, but it was the sequel series focusing on Apollo Creed's son. How could you not get excited for that if you were a Rocky fan like I was? After first seeing it in 2015, I absolutely loved it, and rewatching the film nowadays, I still really love it, and probably like it even more now. Let me just start off by saying the one thing that I think undisputedly this movie does better than any other film in the Rocky franchise beforehand: the fights. The fights in this movie are amazing. For one thing, every single opponent that Adonis Creed faces in this movie is played by a real boxer. So whenever they're punching each other, you never get the feeling that this is fake. This is their livelihood. This is their passion in real life. So even though they would understand, yes, it's a movie, they would never sacrifice realisticness for the film. And the other thing I love about the fights in this movie is the fact that a lot of the fight scenes in this movie are filmed in one takes, especially the opening fight and the fight in the middle of the movie, which is just a 2-round one take. And it's amazing. You feel like you're practically the ref. You feel like you're in the ring, and you feel every single punch that is getting blown to either opponent. They are beautifully shot fight scenes, and it definitely separates this film from most boxing movies, especially the Rocky films, but everything else in the movie is pretty much just as good as the peak Rocky movies. Tessa Thompson is great in the movie as Bianca, and even though she is the love interest of the movie, she never once feels like a carbon copy of Adrian or Little Marie in any way, shape, or form. She's strong, she's funny, she's artistic, and she is a great character, and Tessa Thompson plays her to perfection. And Sylvester Stallone back as Rocky, he's awesome. He picks off directly where we saw him from Rocky Balboa, like he never left the character of Rocky. This is definitely one of, if not his best performance as the character of Rocky, simply because he's not just the lovable personality that we loved him for in Rocky Balboa and Rocky 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. But in this movie, he actually has to deal with some heavy stuff. When Rocky gets cancer in this movie, Sylvester Stallone pulls no punches when it comes to his performance, and the writing pulls no punches when it comes to Rocky's very understandable journey when it comes to his treatment. You understand the heartbreak and the hardship of what he's having to go through, and it just makes it all the better when you see that his treatment coincides with Adonis's training and how they both have to push the limits of what they're capable of. Adonis and Rocky have such a great mentor and student relationship that goes beyond that into uncle and nephew relationship at times. You truly feel the love grow between these two characters as the film goes forward. And even though I don't think this is my favorite Michael B. Jordan performance, it's still Michael B. Jordan, and he's one of the best actors working today, let's face it. He will always bring 110% to a role no matter what, and this movie is no exception. And as I said before, Michael B. Jordan's performance as Adonis is really good, but that does bring me into one of my flaws with the movie, and that is that I don't think Adonis Creed is the best main character. Don't get me wrong, he goes through a great arc in this movie of really coming to terms with his past and really living up to his heritage and his father's name. But at the same time, I would have liked to have seen a bit more about him in terms of personality. We understand a little bit of his background, of his childhood in the first 5 minutes of the movie. We understand that he is intelligent for a good 2 minutes of seeing what he did beforehand. And we do see his relationship with Rocky grow, and in doing so, we see a lot of his relationships with everyone around him grow. But at the same time, in terms of who he is as a character, I don't think it's the most well-defined as, say, Rocky was in his first movie. And even though, yeah, it's a harsh comparison, it's still one that I stand by. In the first Rocky movie, Rocky himself and Sylvester Stallone brought such personality to the character. And even though Michael B. Jordan is great in the movie, I don't think he brings so much personality to Adonis that I think he is on Rocky's level in terms of character. And to be fair, the character of Ricky Connolly in the movie, played by the actual boxer Tony Bello, is actually really good. I didn't remember a lot about his character rewatching the movie, but after seeing it, wow, I really should have. He has such a complex character to him. He's worried about his legacy, his kids' legacy, especially after his very troubled and prison-fueled past. This is his last fight before going into retirement, so both Adonis and Ricky Connolly have something to gain and something to lose. He's not my favorite villain of the franchise, but he is still a pretty good villain, and Tony Bello plays him really well. And on top of that, again, I am always here for Philly love, and considering the fact that this is the most modern depiction of Philly that we've seen in the Rocky and Creed franchise yet, I absolutely love it. They go get cheesesteaks, for God's sake. How much more Philly do you get? Taking a picture next to the Rocky statue? Wait a minute, they do that in this movie. The Philly love is strong in this franchise, and I absolutely adore it. And on top of that, the music in this movie is so good. I mean, I had the complaint in Rocky 5 that the film was very hip-hop and rap heavy. And even though it's the same in this movie, it's very different because Ludwig Göransson not only has the rap music and hip-hop music playing, but he also undertones it with a lot of very orchestral scores. So all the rap music in this movie feels big and gigantic and very Rocky-esque, and sometimes even bigger than Rocky. And when he brings in the classic Rocky scores, especially in the last round of this movie where they full-on play the Rocky theme as Adonis takes his last round in the fight, it's so good. And he mixes the classic Rocky theme with the new Creed theme together, and it just creates this overall just hype for this last round. And I can honestly say that no last round in the entire Rocky franchise made me feel as hyped that I did for this last round in Creed. The characters, the music, the cinematography, it all comes together so well to create a last 5 minutes that might just be as good as Rocky Balboa or as the first Rocky movie. And at the end of the movie, where Rocky and Adonis are just on top of the steps of the art museum looking over Philly, you truly get this feeling that, yes, the torch has passed. Rocky was the heart of classic Philly, but Adonis is the heart of new Philly. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen this movie in its entirety since I first saw it in 2015, and rewatching it in its entirety for this review, I absolutely loved it more than I thought I would. The acting is fantastic, the characters are likable, the writing is so heartfelt, the cinematography is gorgeous, and the music is just incredible. Yeah, I would have liked a tad more development when it came to Adonis, but that is a huge nitpick. Creed, with just his first movie, not only lived up to the legacy of the Rocky franchise, but in many ways, it surpassed many of its movies. I'm going to give Creed an A+. Well guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments down below, who would win in a fight? Adonis in his prime or Rocky in his prime? And I want full-on reasonings. I want feats, I want statistics, I want everything like that. Make this as logical a fight and logical a reasoning as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best. And don't forget to click subscribe and click the bell icon down below to stay up to date on all things movie, all things TV, all things nerd.